let's talk about the taboo subject of network marketing, which is people leaving. Now, first of all, I think it's a hard thing for a person who's new in networking to have a leader that leaves your organization and goes to another company. And it should be painful. Otherwise, you have no heart and you had no relationship with that person. And at the same point, it's also I've grown now to understand after 17 years that it's also part of what we must deal with. It's part of it. It's kind of like when you first get started and you get a couple no's. It feels like the worst pain in the world because your cousin rejected you, your brother rejected you, your best friend rejected you, and you're like, how the heck could they say no to me? And it feels like the worst pain in the world. And then a couple months later, you're like, oh, that wasn't that big of a deal to get a no. So you grow out of that, right? It's not a big deal. A couple years later, it's 100% accepted, it's expected, it's going to happen, you never worry about it, it's just a no is a no. A couple months into building your business, you begin to invite a lot of people, and then you get your feelings really hurt when people say they're going to be there and they don't show up. And it starts to really hurt your feelings and take it very personally. Then after a while, you realize it's just a part of what we do. Now, a couple years later into building your business, you're going to invite 10 of which say they're going to be there and half aren't going to show up, and that's accepted. It's understood. And then you get to a third stage in your business, maybe you're a couple more months in, where people begin to quit. And it feels like the worst pain in the world. How could they quit? How could they not see it? I can't believe it. They were my friend. And then a little bit after that, you grow out of that. And then a couple of years later, when people quit, you're not fazed by it, you're not bothered by it, it's expected, it's understood. And then if you're lucky enough to be successful to build other leaders outside of yourself, it's a given that at some point some of them are going to leave and they're going to compete against you. And when it first happens, it's the worst thing in the world. And you want to quit. You're like, you blame yourself, guilt, anger, all this gamut of emotions. And then after a few months later, you begin to accept it. And then a few years later, again, like I said, if you're lucky enough to build leaders, you understand that it's just part of it. You accept it and you realize it's just like when people told you no. It's just like when people no-showed, and it's just like when people quit. These are facts of the networking business, that if you're going to be a six-figure a year earner or greater, let alone a six-figure a month earner, that you must accept that leaders are going to move on, and they're going to switch companies, and they're going to compete against you. Just like you've already accepted that people quit, people no-show, and people say no. So when I launched Operation Repeat I flew out all of our 5 stars to our Miami house, and I explained to them that, hey, I'm ready to make a second run. I want to be, you know, inside of a company, and I want to be a leader that is something that does something legendary, not just great. What we've done is great, but let's do something legendary. And I invite all of you to take this journey of being legendary together. Let's do something legendary together. And everybody, you know, clapped and cheered, and they were all in. But I knew that that was a turning point in our company, and that it was there was going to be some drastic things that would happen, and drastic decisions that would be made from that point forward. Because, you know, I had made the decision to not be complacent and to grow and to get back into, you know, hardcore building mode. And I told them, I said, a third of you are going to run with me. A third of you are going to sit on the sideline and spectate to see what happens, And a third of you are going to quit. You're going to move on. And everyone's like, no, you know, it's never going to happen. And then I took them to it was either Game 6 or Game 7. The final game, I think it was Game 7, of the Miami Heat versus Spurs, which is that night. So there was like 50 of them. Took them all to the finals, and you know, the Heat won again, their second championship in a row, and it was all about repeating. And the fact that they won the second championship that night, the fact that I just blew past the state trooper 15 over because I'm watching, talking to you guys on camera, is not good. I think we're okay though. So like I was saying, the fact that they repeated, and that was the whole dialogue in their interviews, you know, we kind of coined this second run, Operation Repeat. We were gonna win. We were gonna, you know, win that second championship. And we went out, and some went out and started running hard. Some sat on the sideline, and sure enough, it definitely caused, you know, it caused people to feel uncomfortable. It caused people to feel unloved, not respected anymore, unappreciated, because, you know, my focus and other leaders' focus went to starting over. And anytime you go to starting over, you know, it's kind of like if you have a child and you have a second child, and then all of your attention's going to that second child during infancy and everything else. That first child begins to feel unappreciated, unloved, competition, etc. So I knew going into this that was what was going to happen. Specifically because, you know, all of us had been out of building mode for, some of them for 2 years. You know, me personally, I was out of hardcore building mode for 16 months. So a lot, you know, if you've been out of hardcore building mode for 16 months to 2 years, you know, your group's going backwards, your check's going backwards, and you got to dig your way out, claw your way out, scratch your way out. So that magnifies by a tenfold that feeling of, you know, wanting to make some sort of transition. And very, very, very few leaders that go into management mode and end up killing their own group because of it will ever step up and say, that was my fault. I'm responsible for that chain reaction. I'm responsible for where my business is at, where my check is at, and I take ownership of that, and I'm gonna go build my way out. And you know, that was what I was willing to do, is to say to these guys, hey, I'm responsible, you know, for our leveling off of momentum, and I'm gonna take ownership to get us out, you know, follow me. And some did and some didn't, and the ones who didn't, you know, it was inevitable that they were gonna move But I can tell you that doesn't make it any less painful, you know, because you have relationships with these people, you have you know, friendships with them, you've depending on who they were, I mean, the amount of things that you may have done for them, for their family, to make $1 million or $500,000 or $2 million, the amount of financial resources you may have given to make sure that you know, their family was extremely successful, the amount of time that you may have taken away from your own family to give to their business to make sure that their family was in a position they'd never been in before. And you know, those, when you focus on those things out of the gates, you know, you get angry, you know, you get hurt, and then I think there's, you know, there's then kind of the guilt sets in of, what did I do wrong? How could I, you know, what did I do to cause this? You know, how could I have let this happen? And you go through this process, then you go through a healing process. It's like a breakup of a marriage. You go through a healing process, and I think that's where I'm at right now, because we had, you know, we had people that were sitting and not working for 2 years, and they were drastically declining. I said, the only way out, guys, is we got to go claw our way out. And the ones that didn't move, you know, and go into action, you know, their only solution was to go to another company. And so, like I said, I knew it was coming, but it doesn't make it any less painful when it was happening. And I think now, many months later, I'm beginning to go through that healing process that you got to go through. The thing I got a problem with, though, is not that you know, leaders move on. I think that's the only thing constant is change. We all change, evolve, become different people. I cannot relate to you know, switching companies, etc., etc., etc. I can't relate to it because I've never done it. I've done one thing for 17 years. I don't know of anyone else that has done one thing for 17 years outside of maybe an Amway or Herbalife, you know, mega builder or mega superstar. And you don't know who they are because, you know, they're long retired. And you know, I joined a company at 18, made my first $1 million there. The company went out of business. I bought the assets of that company so that our people never missed a paycheck. They never even knew the company went out of business. Myself and Blake stepped in, and that was how Visalis was created. That's the very short story. And I spent 4 years in management as an executive for Vi, and then I went back into the field 4.5 years ago. And you know, my only stipulation was I wanted my original mailbox number back. And this is kind of interesting because I was the 67th person to join the company. I joined at age 18, so my mailbox, you know, was 1167. They started with the number 1100 for some reason. And I required that when I went back in the field that I got my old mailbox number of 1167 back. So to this day, you know, my ID is 1167, you know, which is kind of cool. So, but I don't know of anyone else in this industry that's stayed the course for, you know, 17 years on one thing. So I can't relate to switching companies, but I accept it and I understand it, and I'm comfortable with the fact that's got to happen. But I will tell you that, you know, there's this is the most taboo, you know, stickiest, you know, uncomfortable topic to discuss in the networking world, and nobody, you know, wants to touch it because everyone, you know, who wants to talk about somebody switching a company has somebody switching into theirs, including me. You know, every day we have people that come from other companies to our business. So it's kind of a don't ask, don't tell kind of topic. And you know, there's lots of different reasons why we had people that left. Some of them left because of you know, personal opportunity, their desire for financial gain. They got a better deal. You know, a couple of them that were telling me about the deal they got, you know, about how, you know, they're going to be inserted above everyone else in the company, and the money that they're guaranteed, and the equity that they're going to get to go to that company, and blah, blah, blah. And well, the problem with that is that everyone that you lead into this company that's, you know, a failure, that just dropped, you know, 80% in sales or whatever over the course of many years, you're leading people into a slaughter that don't have the same quote-unquote deal that you got. They didn't get equity. They didn't get guaranteed income. They didn't get the whole company put underneath them when they came over. So you're ripping people out of something that works, something that's good, you know, a company that's proven itself, and you know, one of the best companies out there for, you know, the average entrepreneur, and you rip them out just because of your personal desire for personal gain or greed. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with I don't know, that one's not my biggest one. I think my biggest problem is the manipulation tactics, where, you know, just people will say anything to people to try to get them to, you know, switch a company. And for example, me personally, I have 2 rules. Number 1 is I never, I'm outbound headhunting people that are in a company, you know, that aren't looking for me. If they're reaching out to me, it's a very different story. You know, I'm not trying to go break out happy marriages. Like, hey, oh, you're married? Well, forget your husband. Let me tell you how great I am. Like, I'm never going to do that. And the people that do that in this industry, I don't have another word for them other than they're scumbags. You know, they're slime balls, they're scumbags. It's the same as trying to go break up a happy marriage, walking up to, you know, a married man or a married woman, trying to destroy that marriage for your own, you know, pleasure. You know, so I have a major issue with that, as you guys can tell. You know, if somebody's coming to you, if somebody's reaching out to you, if somebody, by all means, you know, share with them, they're unhappy, share with them what you're doing, share with them what you got. You know, the other thing that I take major issue to is bashing. You know, I've never, ever had to say one bad thing about a company in order for someone to join my company, right? I've never been like, well, let me tell you why your company is so shitty and my company is so great. The only thing you should ever have to do is talk about why your company is so great. And if your company is so great, then they'll come join you. And, you know, it's this, what's the word? It's just really terrible to watch or to listen to a quote-unquote leader who would have to bash on one company to try to get someone to join their company. Like, I have a rule. I'm like, I'm never talking about your company, and I'm never talking to a happily married individual of their company, and I'm not outbounding. If you're coming to me, the first thing I say to somebody, if I'm on the, even if somebody on my team puts me on the phone with the network, I said, listen, if you are happy with what you're doing, you and I should not be having a conversation. I am not the person that tries to break up a happy marriage. I have no desire to talk to you about what we're doing. If you love what you're doing, and you need to tell me that now, because if my person puts you on the phone with me because they're just trying to get you to our company, I don't want to have that conversation with you. That's not what I stand for. And yeah, I think what I want to do right now, and I don't really have a plan with this, is I want to encourage all of you guys who are full-time networkers out there, stand for something. You know, like, what do you have a value system? My value system is, you know, I'm not going to try to rip you out of something that makes you happy, and something that you enjoy, and something that you associate pleasure to. But number two is I'm never going to talk negatively about anyone else's, you know, company, even though it'd be really, really easy, and I mean easy, for me to, you know, rip apart some of the companies out there in order to recruit people. It's just, but it's so tacky. Tacky is the understatement of the word. It's disgusting. It's so disgusting. It's ridiculous. So, you know, I hope that if anything, this is a an episode that says, hey guys, listen, people are going to leave, and that's just how it is. But if you're on the other side, you have people coming to you from other companies, it's going to happen. People call me all the time. I bring in people from other companies all the time. But you gotta have a value system of how you're going to operate inside of that, how you're going to choose to you know, approach that conversation, and who you're going to be inside of that conversation. And I don't have a problem with people switching companies. It happens every day. If somebody is unhappy with what they were doing, and it's just the worst thing in the world to them, they shouldn't be doing it. You know, the people that have left our company, they do not share my purpose. They do not share our company's mission. If they're only leaving because they want to make more money, our company, in my belief, has a greater cause than that. So they don't have the same sense of cause or purpose that I have, or that I share with my co-founders, or that our leaders have. So I accept that, like, hey, they want to go, they got to go, because they don't have the same value system or sense of purpose that we have, so they shouldn't be here anyways. So I'm comfortable with it. But the how is the most important. And then, you know, lastly, the manipulation tactics, right? So it's never be this person. Don't ever call someone another company and be like, you're gonna be the superstar here, and you're gonna be the... We had so many great leaders, or people, because actually if you're a leader you wouldn't fall for this. We had so many great upcoming leaders, so many great human beings, so many young potential superstars that just got manipulated to hell by the underbelly of this industry. The underbelly meaning the people that, the slime balls. And what I mean, and manipulation is when you take somebody that's new to network marketing, they're finally having success, and you just pump them full of bullshit, and you're like, you're gonna be the, you know, in our world it'd be Kyle Passetti of our company, the Jason O'Toole, the Nick Sarnicola, you know, the Nick and Ashley. Listen, just because you're a young couple does not make you Nick and Ashley. You know, it took me 17 years to be Nick. So you don't just make $300,000–400,000 a month because, you know, you're young and you know you have some talents, or you're confident, or, you know, the amount of effort that it takes to do that is insane. You don't become Jason O'Toole because, you know, you're from Canada. You're the first person in Canada with our company, so you're going to be Jason O'Toole. No, Jason O'Toole is Jason O'Toole because he's an extremely unique, special human being. That's how you make $150,000 a month. So to tell people, you know, oh, you're here first, so you're going to get rich, is a crock of shit. You know, it's like, I didn't even join our own company in the field until the 5th year. And so is it the 5th year? Is it the 10th year? Like, being first doesn't mean anything. Oh, well, we're doing exactly what that company does, so we're going to be as successful or greater. Are you out of your mind? 99 out of 100 MLMs fail. 99 out of 100. I have no idea how we made it out of our first year. I have no idea how we made it when we were almost bankrupt in 2009. I have no idea. Do you know how hard it is? Just because you are a network marketing company and you copied everything of another company, it could be copying any company, doesn't mean you're going to be that company. So, you know, the manipulation's got to go. Don't manipulate people out of anyone else's company. Doesn't matter what the company is. You know, don't you know, lie to good people and pump them full of bullshit so that they'll switch to your company. You know, we have to remember, as networkers, we are messing with people's lives. Like, this is not a game. This is people's lives. Like, this is their life. Like, how they pay their bills, their children, their car payments, their house payments. You know, we are with people's lives when you manipulate, when you lie, when you bash on something to get people. Why? So they can switch into your company? I will never fault a leader for leaving, or a person for leaving a company in search of greater happiness and greater prosperity for themselves. And if you get someone that's in search of greater happiness and prosperity and they're contacting you, sit down with them, show them what you're doing, and if you guys fall in love with each other and they fall in love with what you're providing, they should join your company. But we got to do this right. And you know, I don't fault the people that we had who left because they were unhappy and they wanted greater happiness. I don't fault the ones that couldn't align with our cause, meaning they didn't feel that our cause was in alignment with their cause. I feel really bad about the people that got manipulated by professional, you know, liars and scumbags to go join a new deal. And you know, basically these guys, I mean, I've watched in the last 7 months, I've watched these great people get manipulated into companies. 2 months later, they're out of the industry. Now they hate network marketing, hate MLM because of, this is what people hate about those pyramid things, the shit I'm talking about right now. And we gotta protect, you know, our industry. We gotta be better human beings. You know, at the end of the day, we all have to make our own choices and our own decisions, and we have to live with those choices and those decisions for, you know, the remainder of our life. And our family has to live with those choices and those decisions for the remainder of our life. And all I hope is that I make the right choices and best decisions that I can make, and I hope for, you know, for you and your family that you guys all make you know, the right choices and the best decisions that you can make, because, you know, we're all going to have to live with those for, you know, for the rest of our life.
Daddy!
Papa.
Yeah, it's Papa.
Mama. Hi.